Hello everyone. You're about to hear a short synopsis of the film Sentence. Enjoy watching it. A gang of robbers got into trouble. They were planning to have fun at a brothel, but were surrounded by the police. As a result, almost all the gang members were shot along with the courtesans. Only Charlie Burns and his younger brother Mikey survived. Christmas is coming. And to please the people of Australia, Captain Maurice Stanley is going to hang Mikey. However, if Charlie wants to save the younger brother, he must deal with his older brother Arthur. Australia. What a hellhole. Spend his whole life among bastards. Stanley knows where Arthur is hiding, but no one wants to go there. Not the police, not the mercenaries. The captain is determined to make this scumbag suffer. Mikey was put in a cage and taken to prison. Charlie got his gun and horse back. They will both be pardoned if Charlie finishes off Arthur before Christmas. This monster brutally murdered an entire family. The woman was heavily pregnant. The escort took Mikey to the city jail. Children began pelting the criminal with stones. The cell was surrounded by stern men. Stanley told them he had captured one of the Burns brothers, Australia's leading robbers. A terrified Mikey was thrown into a cell, where he immediately huddled in a corner. They tossed him a bucket and newspaper as toilet paper. Outside, people took pictures with the recently hanged criminal. SNL's wife arrived at the station. All the men immediately stared at her. Martha noticed Mikey. He was just a boy. Martha had been friends with the murdered woman. She hoped her friend hadn't suffered much before her death, but her husband didn't want to talk about it. In the morning, a shot rang out near the house. One of the jailers lay on the threshold. He had just accidentally shot himself in the leg. Charlie headed for the mountains. His brother is hiding somewhere in the caves. On the way, he came across a house whose owner had been stabbed to death. There, he also found an old bounty hunter, Jelen Lamb. Lamp is methodically emptying every bottle of liquor in the dead man's house. Charlie hid his real name. Too many gunslingers are after his head. Lamp is also tracking Arthur Burns, that demon lurking in the mountains. Charlie knocked him out so the old man wouldn't get in the way. Landowner Eden Fletcher arrived in town. He hired the captain to restore order. Too bad he's only managed to catch a small fry, Mikey. What a piece of... Still, it's better than nothing. Stanley is fed up with this hellish desert. He'd like to return to England. A second warden galloped up to the couple's house and reported that the natives had revolted. There was a shootout in the mountains. They killed one and arrested a dozen more. A native named Jack is helping the authorities. The captain wants to know if the natives have seen a white man in the mountains, so he shows them a poster of Arthur Burns. Yes, they know this dogman, but he can neither be caught nor killed. The soldiers call their captain a weakling and fantasize about what they would do to his wife and in what positions. Soon, Charlie discovered another corpse, pierced by spears. When he woke up in the morning, he discovered that his horse had been killed. A spear had immediately pierced him through. The natives calmly looked down on him until one of them had half his head blown off. His brother saved him. Charlie woke up in a cave. A bandit like Quinny was nursing him back to health, treating the wound with herbs. The rest of the gang hung around nearby. Martha went into town and noticed that the locals were looking at her sideways. The woman decided to find out the reason from the Butcher family. I think something is wrong. Go home, you stupid cow. Excuse me, what did you say? Who would forgive your husband? Mrs. Stanley. Charlie quickly got to his feet and looked at his saviors. It was Dirty Sam who took that Aborigines' head. Finally, Charlie decided to talk to his older brother Arthur. You are my brother, Charlie, we are one. Charlie lied that Mikey didn't come because he met a girl and decided to stay with her. The bandit stood on the edge of the cliff. Charlie went up to throw him off, but he didn't have the courage to do it. The soldiers mocked Mikey. There are only 5 days left before he is hanged. Martha found out that the boy participated in the murder of her friend, and her husband hid it from her. Fletcher came here and ordered that all the Aborigines be killed for killing white people. He also insists that Mikey receive 100 lashes. People say you had Charles Burns in your hands, and you let him go. Martha overheard the conversation and learned that her husband was going to pardon her friend's 2 killers. But Stanley believes Mikey is just an ordinary, intimidated kid. All the atrocities were committed only by his older brother. However, the public demands justice, so Mikey will be flogged, and Charlie will be hanged on the leash when he returns. Stanley ordered his wife to stay home. She didn't even look at him. Her friend was tortured and raped. Her death was painful. Stanley burst into the police station and ordered his subordinates to stop tormenting the boy. A detachment was to go into the mountains and deal with the natives. Stanley himself remained to guard the Mikeys, lest he be lynched. However, he had too much to drink, and in the morning he woke up to screaming. The townspeople have gathered outside the prison building, demanding the boy be handed over. I'll shoot the first person who touches Mike Burns. Fletcher has arrived, and even Martha. She's also insisting on punishment. Finally, the captain gave in and threw the keys to his cell on the ground. The boy was dragged out into the yard and tied to a post. Fletcher, without proof, accused him of the most heinous crimes and ordered the punishment to begin. After only the 3rd blow, Mike's legs gave way. He screams wildly and begs for it to stop. The fly-covered townspeople calmly watch the horrific execution. A sizable pool of blood has already trickled from the whip. Mikey has long since lost consciousness, but this is only the 38th blow out of 100. The townspeople are no longer pleased with this spectacle. They began to disperse, and Martha has completely lost consciousness. Stanley took the whip and threw it at Fletcher. He asked Martha to come home with him. Mikey survived, but his situation is dire. The captain understands that Fletcher's decision has sentenced him to death. When the bandits learn of what happened, they will definitely come to him. Martha still hasn't recovered from what she saw. She can't even eat a spoonful of soup. Her husband tried to explain. He just wanted justice. Justice, even from Michael Burns. Jacko pointed out the smoke to Sergeant Lowry, and the squad galloped in that direction. Arthur knows about the soldiers, but he's not worried because they came here to shoot the natives. By evening, dozens of natives have been killed, women, children, entire families. The satisfied soldiers celebrate a successful hunt. Everything is legal. They're great guys. Not like those beastly Burns brothers. In the morning, Arthur burned all the gang's property and saddled his horses. He felt that Charlie, a younger brother in need, had lied to him. Arthur pointed a pistol at the sergeant and ordered him to give up the horses. Shoot and wake my men. Yes, that's right. Get into the shade, Sergeant. Arthur ordered the sergeant to go into the stable and stand on the straw. He immediately gave up Charlie and began begging for his life. But Arthur simply trampled his skull with his boot. The remaining soldiers were stabbed to death in their sleep. In the morning, Martha took a bath. She confessed that every night she dreams of her murdered friend, covered in blood and in a torn dress, and holding a small newborn baby in her arms. Charlie was left at the camp. Lamont found him and expertly bound him with rope. The old man knows he's captured a notorious criminal. He was too drunk during their first meeting. Sam lay nearby, bound hand and foot. Suddenly, the man sat up and began breathing heavily. Blood began flowing from his stomach. Arthur had just returned to camp with his Aboriginal friend. He freed Charlie and sat down next to the old man. Arthur decided to take his time putting him out of his misery. It would hurt a little. Charlie grabbed a revolver and pointed it at his brother's head, but chickened out again and simply finished off the old man. They'll get their shirts up by Christmas. When's Christmas, Charlie? I have to go. Charlie's brother jumped on his horse and rode to town. Despite the approaching danger, Martha would deliberately decorate the house for Christmas. The doctor arrived and reported that the boy was dying. There was nothing left to do for Mike. Done. 3 bandits caught up with Charlie and rode after him. The captain always keeps a rifle on him. He dismissed his servant so that the native wouldn't be harmed. Toby, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Captain. The bandits changed into uniforms and pretended to be soldiers. They supposedly captured a rebellious native and were now dragging him to jail. Curious villagers gathered around. The masks were removed as soon as the criminals crossed the prison threshold. The guards immediately, themselves, and Charlie hurried to find the cell key. Mikey didn't recognize it at first, then tied his eyes out of fear. Arthur and Sam are in no hurry to leave. They'll have some fun first. The bandits dragged the guards into the cell and cut off their heads. Fletcher later discovered the bodies and couldn't believe his eyes. Sam somehow washed the blood off himself and dressed up. After all, they were going to visit now. Captain Stanley, of course, wasn't expecting any guests. Alas, Mikey's body couldn't handle it. He died in his middle brother's arms. The bandits buried him under a pile of stones. "It's all your fault, Charlie. You shouldn't have left us." Martha got dressed up and set the festive table. Stanley keeps glancing at his rifle. The couple sat opposite each other and prayed. "Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas." The captain didn't even have time to flinch. Arthur knocked him out and threw him into the bedroom. Sam stayed to guard Martha while the boss tortured and beat her husband. Quote, "Move again, ma'am, and I'll put your eye on a fork." Quote. Sam noticed the decorated Christmas tree and took a card from it. True, he still couldn't read. Arthur called Sam. Sam dragged Martha into the room to rape her right in front of her husband. At that moment, Charlie approached the house. From a distance, he saw the tortured captain. Without another word, he blew Sam's brains out and shot his brother twice. Martha looked at Charlie with fear, but of course he wouldn't hurt her. Arthur left the house, but he couldn't get far. He left a trail of blood behind him. The bandit sat down on the ground to watch the last sunset of his life. Charlie kept his brother company.